welcome. I just love seeing your face. So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Roko and Michelle. So this week is on the power of purpose. And we'll start off with a quote and then we'll come back at it. So it's from JFK and it's efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. So my brain landed on this as Roko and I think about different topics and different stuff comes up. What I reflected on my own leadership journey, if you will, or just journey and what I'm doing today versus what I did when I was in the finance world, is that when I actually landed on my purpose, and my purpose is helping people, and that can play out in a number of different ways, everything else started to line up, right? So I'm an executive coach. I do leadership development. I facilitate events so people can come to alignment on agreements. It could be strategy, it could be process improvement. But all that stuff is connected for me, and it culminates at my purpose. And I think that's where, and I look at, geese or ducks flying, like everything came into alignment to that point. And so when I think about the power of purpose, for me in my life, that's the thing I can look back on and go, okay, I'm now in fifth gear and I'm going. So what are your thoughts, Roko?
Well, very similar to yours. Purpose is foundational for me. It is what aligns, to your point, all your activities, all your behaviors, all your thoughts. And as a leader, whether I'm leading a team, or in a meeting, leading a meeting, I always start with purpose, because when you have clarity around purpose, the discussion, you can facilitate the discussion and always bringing it back to purpose when the team gets stuck. And same thing when you're developing a team or trying to, if you've got a brand new team coming together, if they understand what is that common purpose that we're all here for, then you're going to have a better cohesiveness, because again, you can align everything you do with that purpose. And the same thing at an organizational level, right? When we work together and we were trying to implement changes or really speak to the organization's culture, we centered that around the purpose, because everybody has their own core values. Everybody has reasons why they've chosen the job that they're in. But when you're in a system of some sort, you have to have that common purpose to say, okay, but all of us in our uniqueness are coming together for this singular purpose. What binds us.
Yeah, what came to mind for me is Jeff Henderson's book. I think it's What Are You For? It's around that same thing. And so what he talks about is aligning the organization around that clarity around what are we for? And the one example he gave was the church that he, was the leader or the pastor of that church. And he had to bring the group together, and the group iterated on it. But what they aligned on was they were for the community of whatever community they were in. And so when you got that clarity that you're talking about a purpose, then all of a sudden they could do their communications. They can make business decisions around that, right? Because all of a sudden it wasn't this narrow little thing. It was like, this is the thing that motivated us and drove us forward, because if it supports our purpose, then the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And I think when I'm saying that and saying it to you, it's going to be the same thing with problem solving thinking. If you don't have clarity on the problem that you're solving, stop.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, you don't know the gap you're closing. You don't know what success looks like. And I think it's the same thing with what are you for, or clarity on your purpose. And you're right, bringing in the organizational part of it, because my brain went initially to individual purpose.
Yeah. And, again, for me as a leader, when you think about purpose too, it's if you don't want to be, or if you want to empower your team or the people that report to you, then you have to have clarity around that purpose, because otherwise making decisions on their own or taking action on their own becomes very uncomfortable for them, because they don't know what the purpose is, and they may make the wrong decision or take the wrong action, which then immediately creates tension, unnecessary tension in that team dynamic. So I think it's important that leaders work with their teams to define that purpose, or offer it up front. If it's your, as a leader's responsibility to create that, then create it and share it so that people can say, and again, it's not just having the statement, but it's making sure people have an understanding of the words that are in that statement, because words have multiple meanings. And so you want to make sure that there's even clarity around that.
Yeah, we can't assume a shared meaning on that stuff.
Right.
As much as possible, if there is purpose already identified. I remember one group I worked with just around, I think it was their vision or their mission statement. It had been, I had asked the leader before I worked with a group, I said, what meaning does this have for you? He said, it really doesn't. I mean, so if it doesn't have meaning, it's like wallpaper. Yeah. So it's like, pull it back in, if it's something that's always been around, and revisit it with the team that you have to make sure that this is still the thing, right? Whatever the vision is, whatever your mission, your purpose, whatever that is, I think it's important to revisit that, and then don't leave it wallpaper on a wall. Right. It's gotta be front and center in all that you do, so that there's that connection consistently. For every team meeting that we have in a standard agenda, our standard agenda, it starts with reviewing what is the purpose of this meeting, just to ground everybody before we get started. This meeting was to do X. Yeah. Because otherwise people can just get together and kill time. And then you can stay focused, you can get it done, you can, and people can march toward that, I'm going to say outcome. And drive toward that outcome. There was another quote that just reminded me with the whole drive thing that just came to my mind. If you have a strong purpose in life, you don't have to be pushed. Your passion will drive you there. Again, it can be business and individual goals, because we connect to purpose of the workplace and the organizations we work for. So anyway,
I think it fuels you, right? It fills you up when you have purpose. So I love that ending quote, because that's the other part of it, right? The one part is, how do you align activities and people and organizations around that purpose? And then this one is more about the internal heart piece of it, right? Around how do you motivate yourself every day to do what it is you're doing. And when you have that.
I agree. I agree. Well, thank you. So what's one or two things you want people to walk away with?
Ooh.
Just pick one.
What? I think it's just make sure you have it. And to your point that it's a living document or a living statement, revisit it. It shouldn't just be wallpaper, but that having the clarity around it can give you alignment.
You're going to stay on the organizational side. I'm going to come back to the personal side. I think it's one of those things, if you've never asked yourself the question as a person, individual and stuff, what your life's purpose is, if you will, do it. Ask that question, and just sit in it for a minute. Don't force it, and just listen to what the answer is. So that's my encouragement on that. So I appreciate the time, Roko. This one was just like, it means a lot. So thank you. So this has been Leadership Soundbites. Roko and Michelle, please like, share, subscribe. Until next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.